From the moment you drew your first breath, your destiny was already woven by the golden threads of Ammoniusare. But you did not yet know the terrifying weight of this secret. In this land, you had only one path: to become the voice of the gods or to be silenced by the desert sands. The first thing you know is the heat. It is a heavy, physical presence that wraps around you like a second skin. Then comes the smell, the rich, fertile scent of the black silk brought by the Nile, mixing with the sharp, acrid smoke of cooking fires. You are born in Thebes, the beating heart of the world, the city of the 100 gates. Your home is not a palace, but a modest structure of sun-baked mud brick, nestled in the long, imposing shadow of the great Karnak temple. Your father is a scribe of the temple granaries. This single fact defines your existence before you can even speak. While other children in the dusty streets play naked in the mud, chasing stray dogs and laughing with the freedom of obscurity, you are kept apart. Your father washes you more often than the others. He speaks to you in a voice that is measured and quiet, teaching you that noise is an offense to the gods. You watch the other children from your window, their bodies coated in the dust of the common world, and you feel a strange sensation, not envy but a distinct separation. You are being preserved. You are being prepared. You are 5 years old when the true weight of your life first settles upon your small shoulders. It is a morning like any other, or so it seems. The sun is already beating down on the limestone cliffs in the west, turning them a blinding white. Your father takes your hand. His grip is tighter than usual. He does not lead you to the river to play, nor to the market to buy figs. He turns toward the avenue of sphinxes. You walk between the rows of stone beasts, their silent faces judging every step you take. The air changes as you approach the massive pylons of Karnak. The noise of the city, the shouting merchants, the braying donkeys, the weeping mourners, fades away, replaced by a rhythmic, humming silence. It is the sound of Ma'at, the cosmic order. You step through the great gate. The temperature drops. The chaotic heat of the streets is replaced by the cool, stone shadow of the hypostyle hall. You look up. The columns are like a forest of stone, so wide that 100 men could not circle them, rising so high that their capitals seem to touch the sky itself. You feel microscopic. You feel terrified. The scent here is different. There is no smell of sweat or animals, only the intoxicating aroma of frankincense and myrrh, a scent so expensive it is said to be the breath of the gods themselves. Your father leads you to a man standing by a pool of still, dark water. The man wears a leopard skin over his shoulder, the mark of a high priest. His head is perfectly smooth, shining in the shaft of light cutting through the darkness. He looks down at you. He does not smile. He does not offer a sweet. He inspects you as one inspects a sacrificial calf, looking for flaws, looking for weakness. He places a hand on your head. The skin of his palm is dry and warm like old parchment. You stop breathing. You know, with the instinct of a prey animal, that this is the moment your life splits in two. If he turns away, you go back to the mud. If he speaks, you belong to the stone. He turns to your father and nods once. Wab, he whispers. The word hangs in the stagnant air. It means the pure one. In that instant, the boy you were is extinguished. The dusty streets, the games, the simple love of a mother, all of it is severed. You have been claimed by something ancient, hungry, and eternal. You look at the dark water of the sacred lake, and for the first time, you do not see a reflection of a child. You see a vessel for the divine. A profound desire ignites in your chest, a burning need to be worthy of this silence, to be part of this colossal machinery that keeps the universe from falling into chaos. The sun sets over the western horizon, painting the temple walls in blood-red light, marking the end of your short innocence. The rhythm of your life is no longer set by the rising sun or the flooding Nile, but by the rituals of purification. You are 7 years old, and you are learning that holiness is painful. Every third day, the bronze razor scrapes against your skin. It is not enough to be clean, you must be smooth. Not a single hair is allowed to remain on your body, not on your head, not on your arms, not even your eyebrows. The priests tell you that hair is the harbor of lice and dirt, the nesting ground of impurity. As the cold metal glides over your scalp, leaving it raw and sensitive to the air, you feel the physical transformation. You look in the polished bronze mirror and see a stranger. A pale, hairless creature who looks nothing like the farmers in the fields. Your clothing changes. The rough wool that commoners wear is forbidden. It comes from animals, and animals are unclean. You are draped in fine white linen, bleached to a blinding purity by the sun. It is cool against your skin, light as a whisper, but it stains if you so much as brush against the dusty wall. This creates a new way of moving. You learn to walk with deliberate, gliding steps. You learn to sit without touching the ground. You become a ghost in your own city, floating through the corridors, terrified of the very earth you walk on. Your diet is stripped of joy to ensure your spirit remains light. The rich, fatty pork that the villagers roast on feast days is an abomination to you. Fish from the Nile, the staple of the poor, is forbidden, for the fish eat the filth of the river. You live on roasted goose, ox meat inspected by 3 different priests, loaves of bread made from the finest emmer wheat, and sweet cakes made with dates and honey. You drink wine and beer that has been filtered 10 times. You are fed better than the Pharaoh's own guards, yet you are always hungry for something else, for the simple, messy freedom you see through the temple gates. But with privilege comes a new, suffocating fear. It is not the fear of wild beasts or invaders. It is the fear of pollution. You are taught that your purity is the only thing standing between order and chaos. If you enter the sanctuary with a dirty fingernail, if you speak a sacred word with a stutter, you do not just fail yourself. You weaken the magic that holds the sky above the earth. One morning you are tasked with carrying a clay vessel of natron, the drying salt used for purification, to the inner courtyard. The vessel is heavy and your arms are thin. You are tired from the pre-dawn chanting. Your foot catches on a loose paving stone. You stumble. The vessel does not break, but a small amount of the white salt spills onto the pristine floor. To a normal child, this is a clumsy mistake. To you, it is a catastrophe. You freeze. The silence of the temple amplifies the sound of the spill like a thunderclap. You look around. No one saw. The easy choice is to sweep it aside with your foot, to hide the imperfection, to pretend the disorder never happened. Most novices would do exactly that to escape the cane. But you stop. You remember the lesson of Ma'at. Truth is the foundation of the world. A lie introduces a crack in the foundation. If you hide this, you are no longer a guardian of order. You are an agent of chaos. Your heart hammers against your ribs like a trapped bird. You walk to the overseer, a man with a face like carved granite. You kneel. You confess. I have spilled the sacred salt. You whisper, your voice trembling. You expect the whip. You expect to be cast out. The overseer looks at the spill, then at you. He sees the terror in your eyes, but he also sees the resolve. He does not strike you. He hands you a brush. Clean it, he says. The stone must be perfect. As you scrub the floor, sweating in your fine linen, you feel a shift deep inside. You realize that the power of the priesthood is not in the magic, but in the discipline. You survived your own imperfection by confronting it. This moment cements your identity. You are not just a boy in a robe, you are a fortress of integrity. Later that year, during the festival of Opet, you are allowed for the first time to glimpse the procession of the sacred bark. You see the golden shrine, carried on the shoulders of the high priests, passing through the smoke of incense. Inside that shrine is the image of Ammonius, the hidden one. You feel a wave of awe so powerful it nearly knocks you to your knees. The gold glitters not with greed, but with celestial light. You understand then why you shave your head. You understand why you cannot eat the fish. You are guarding the battery that powers the universe. The firelight from the torches dances on the hieroglyphs carved into the massive walls, and as you watch the shadows move, you know that there is no turning back. The world outside is a dream. Only this, the stone and the God, is real. Your youth is not measured in years, but in the stain of ink on your fingers and the ache behind your eyes. While the boys you once watched from your window are now working the fields, their bodies hardening under the whip of the sun, your battlefield is the house of life, the Per-Ankh. You spend your days and nights in the scriptorium, a long, cool room smelling of cedar dust and dried papyrus. Here silence is the only law. You are learning the Midu Netter, the words of God, the hieroglyphs that hold the power of creation. It is an exhausting, brutal education. You must memorize over 700 symbols. One symbol for a sound, another for an idea, another to determine the meaning of the two before it. You learn that a single misplaced stroke can turn a prayer into a curse. Your teachers are old men with backs bent like question marks, their patience eroded by decades of teaching. They do not praise you. If your hand shakes while drawing the ibis of Thoth, the cane comes down across your knuckles. Crack. Pain is the teacher. Discipline is the lesson. You learn that knowledge is not a gift. It is a fortress that must be built stone by stone. You begin to understand the mechanics of the universe. You study astronomy, spending freezing nights on the temple roof, mapping the movement of the imperishable stars. You learn that the flooding of the Nile is not magic, but a cycle written in the sky by the star Sirius. This knowledge separates you further from the common man. To them, the river rises because they prayed hard enough. To you, the river rises because the cosmos is a clockwork engine of Ma'at, and you are one of the few who can read the time. But the true test of your youth does not come from a scroll. It comes in the form of gold. You are 18. The high priest entrusts you with a mundane but critical task: auditing the tax records of a local district. The temple owns the land, and the farmers pay a portion of their harvest to Ammonius. You sit in a dusty warehouse, counting sacks of emmer wheat, surrounded by the buzz of flies. The local overseer, a man with a greasy smile and expensive sandals, approaches you. He places a small linen bag on your table. It clinks heavily. The harvest was complicated this year, he says, his voice low. The records show 1,000 sacks. But surely, a young scribe of your talent can see that only 800 arrived. The rats, you know. The heat. You open the bag. Inside are 3 rings of solid gold, a deben of wealth. More than your father earns in 5 years. Here is the moment. The room is hot. The overseer is sweating, watching your eyes. This is the reality of the empire. Corruption is the grease that makes the wheels turn. If you take the gold, you are rich. You can buy a fine house, slaves, the finest linen. No one will know. The temple has so much. What are 200 sacks of wheat? Most young men would take it. They would justify it. They would say, I am just one man. But you look at the gold and you feel a wave of nausea. You remember the cane across your knuckles. You remember the terrified face of the farmer you saw earlier, handing over his last measure of grain so the gods wouldn't starve. If you take this, you are stealing from Ammonius. You are introducing a lie into the record. And a lie in the record is a crack in the sky. You close the bag. You push it back across the table. The sound of the gold sliding against the wood is louder than a scream. The records will show 1,000 sacks, you say. Your voice is shaking, but your eyes are cold. And if 800 are here, then you will find the other 200 before the sun sets. Or I will send for the temple guard. The overseer's face goes pale. He sees something in you that frightens him, not authority but a fanatical adherence to the truth. He leaves. The grain is found. When you return to the temple, you do not boast. You place the correct scroll in the archive. The high priest summons you that evening. He does not mention the gold. He simply looks at you and says, you have been granted access to the inner archive. You realize then that there are no secrets in the temple. He knew about the test. He knew about the gold. You have passed the first gate. You have proven that your soul cannot be bought because it has already been sold to the god. Time flows like the river. You are 25 now. The soft, fearful boy is gone. In his place stands a man with broad shoulders under pleated linen. wearing the heavy seal ring of the scribe of the divine offerings. You are no longer just a student, you are a gear in the engine of the Egyptian state. Your responsibility is terrifyingly real. You control the food supply for 10,000 people. You decide which fields are planted with flax for clothes and which with barley for beer. You walk through the vast granaries and men twice your age bow to you, touching their foreheads to the dust. You have power. But power in Egypt is a dangerous thing. Your rise brings you into the orbit of the royal court. The line between the temple of Ammonius and the palace of the pharaoh is thin and blurry. The temple is becoming richer than the crown, and tension vibrates in the air like heat lightning. Then the first great shadow falls over your life. The old high priest, the man who spotted you by the sacred lake, the man who was your father in spirit, dies. His death is not just a tragedy, it is a political earthquake. Without his iron hand, the factions within the temple turn on each other like crocodiles in a shrinking pool. There is the traditionalist faction who want to hoard the temple's wealth for the gods, and the royalist faction who want to funnel the grain to the pharaoh's new military campaigns in the Levant. You are caught in the middle. You are the keeper of the counts. Both sides need you. Both sides need your numbers to legitimize their claim. A senior priest from the royalist faction corners you in the colonnade one night. The pharaoh needs grain for the chariots, he whispers, his breath smelling of stale wine. Alter the allocation. Mark the surplus as spoiled, and divert it to the army. If you do this, you will be made high steward within the month. It is a trap. If you do it, you serve the pharaoh but betray the temple laws. If you refuse, you make an enemy of the crown. The next morning, the traditionalist leader approaches you. Guard the grain, he hisses. Let the army starve. If you give one sack to the palace, we will accuse you of sacrilege and have you stripped of your skin. You stand in the granary looking at the mountains of wheat. The dust motes dance in the shafts of light. You feel the crushing weight of your position. This is not a test of honesty like the gold bribe. This is a test of survival. One wrong move and you are dead. Most men would panic. They would choose a side and pray for protection. But what do? You choose neither. You choose the law. You stay up for 3 nights, drafting a report so detailed, so mathematically perfect, that it becomes undeniable. You cite the ancient laws of the harvest. You allocate the grain exactly as the statutes demand. Enough for the gods, enough for the people, and a calculated surplus for the state, but not a single grain more than the law allows. You present this report in the Great Hall, in front of both factions and the vizier himself. You speak with a voice of ice. You do not offer opinions, you offer numbers. You turn the argument from politics into mathematics. Ma'at dictates the balance, you declare. To alter the balance is to invite famine. The room is silent. You have effectively handcuffed both sides with the truth. The royalists cannot argue without looking like thieves. The traditionalists cannot argue without looking like traitors to the state. The vizier looks at you. He sees a man who cannot be bullied. He nods. Your allocation is accepted. You walk out of the hall, your knees trembling, sweat soaking your linen robe. You have made no friends today. Both sides hate you for denying them total victory. But you have survived. And more than that, you have carved out a new reputation. You are the knife of Ma'at, sharp, cold, and dangerously neutral. That night, as you stand on your balcony overlooking the sleeping city of Thebes, you realize that you are alone. The warmth of friendship, the ease of laughter, these are luxuries you can no longer afford. You have traded intimacy for authority. You touch the cold stone of the railing. This is your life now. Art. Enduring. Alone. The sound of the temple gong signals the end of the watch. A new era of your life has begun, one where your enemies are not in foreign lands, but standing right beside you in the prayer line. The air in Thebes has changed. You are now 40 years old, a high priest in all but name, standing at the right hand of the god. But the incense that wafts through the hypostyle hall can no longer mask the scent of rot. It is a time of shadow. The pharaoh is aging, his grip on the two lands weakening. Rumors fly through the marketplace like locusts, tales of Libyan raiders testing the western borders, of workers in the Valley of the Kings going on strike because their grain rations are late. The eternal order, Ma'at, is trembling. You feel it in your bones, a vibration of coming chaos. You walk the temple corridors at night, the torchlight casting long, distorted shadows that seem to whisper of treason. Your fear is no longer about a spilled cup of salt. It is the terrifying realization that the gods might have looked away from Egypt. One moonless night, a servant from the royal palace comes to you. He is trembling, his skin ashen. He brings you an object wrapped in a dirty rag. You unwrap it in the privacy of your inner sanctum. It is a wax figure. A Shapti doll, crudely formed but unmistakable. It bears the likeness of the pharaoh. A red thread is tied around its throat, and a needle of bronze pierces its heart. The smell hitting you is not of wax but of something vile, burnt hair and grave dust. Sorcery. Someone is trying to murder the living God through magic. This is Isfit, pure, unadulterated chaos. You begin an investigation, not with guards and swords, but with scrolls and silence. You trace the linen of the rag. You analyze the wax. You follow the whispers. Your obsessive attention to detail, once your weakness, is now the only thing that can save the kingdom. The trail leads you away from the slums and straight into the gilded halls of the palace. The conspiracy is not coming from the enemies outside. It is coming from the vizier, the second most powerful man in the world, a man you once shared wine with. You corner him in the archives. It is just the two of you, surrounded by the silence of 1,000 years of history. You hold the wax doll up. The vizier does not beg. He smiles. The old man on the throne is weak, he says, his voice smooth as oil. Egypt is bleeding. We need strong blood. Join me, priest. When the pharaoh falls, I will take the crown, and you will be the first prophet of Ammonius, with power over every temple from the delta to Nubia. We can rule together. Order through strength. The world stops. This is the moment. This is the precipice. You look at him. You see the logic in his eyes. The pharaoh is weak. The vizier is strong. If you join him, you secure your future and perhaps even a stronger Egypt. If you refuse, you act against the powerful for the sake of a dying king. This is the moment most men would break. They would justify the treason for the greater good. But what do? You look at the wax doll, then at the vizier. You remember the oath you took by the sacred lake as a terrified boy. You serve Ma'at, not men. Treason is a cancer. It cannot birth order. Strength without Ma'at is tyranny, you whisper. You smash the wax doll on the stone floor. The vizier lunges at you, a dagger flashing from his sleeve. You are not a warrior, but you are desperate. You throw a heavy clay jar of scrolls at him, knocking him off balance. You scream for the temple guard. The struggle is brief, violent, and messy, a chaos of tearing linen and crashing pottery. The guards burst in. The vizier is seized. The coup is broken before it could begin. You stand panting, your fine robes torn, blood on your hands. You save the pharaoh. You save the dynasty. Days later, the pharaoh summons you. He is frail, sitting on a throne that seems too big for him. He does not speak much. He simply gestures. Servants bring forward a chest. It is filled with gold, the gold of valor. But the true reward is not the metal. It is the look in the eyes of the court. They look at you with a new emotion, fear. You are the man who took down the vizier. You are the immovable object. You have proven that the temple is the true backbone of the empire. The light of the fire flickers across your face, but it brings no warmth, only the stark illumination of the burden you now carry alone. The crisis has passed, but the man you were is dead. The knife of Ma'at has been forged in fire and is now colder than the desert night. You are 50 years old. You move with a stillness that unsettles people. You no longer trust the smiles of politicians or the promises of friends. You trust only the system. You trust only the law. Your face has hardened. The lines around your mouth are etched deep with skepticism. You have realized that humans are naturally drawn to chaos, and only the iron grip of ritual and administration keeps the world from ending. Your desire has shifted. You no longer seek enlightenment, you seek control. Absolute, unwavering control. A new challenge arises, testing this dark wisdom. A famous general, fresh from victories in Canaan, returns to Thebes. He is arrogant, loved by the army, and believes he is above the laws of the priests. He begins to seize temple lands to reward his soldiers, ignoring the sacred boundaries. Complaints reach you. The farmers are being beaten, the grain stolen. The general laughs at your messengers. I fight for Egypt with blood, he says. The priest fights with ink. Let him come and stop me. It is a direct challenge. Sword against scroll. If you let him steal the land, the temple looks weak. If you fight him openly, you risk a civil war with the army. You do not send soldiers. You send a summons. You invite the general to the great temple for a blessing of victory. He cannot refuse without insulting the god Ammonius. He arrives in his chariot, wearing his golden armor, surrounded by cheering crowds. He thinks this is his triumph. He marches into the inner court, expecting praise. You are waiting for him on the high steps, dressed in the full regalia of the high priest, the leopard skin, the tall plumes of Ammonius. You are holding the scroll of judgment. The courtyard falls silent. You do not bless him. You look down at him, your eyes dead and cold. You begin to read. You do not read a prayer. You read the land registry. You read the list of his thefts, grain by grain, acre by acre. You amplify your voice using the acoustics of the stone walls, making it sound like the voice of a god. You have eaten the bread of Ammonius, you thunder. You have stolen the breath of the poor. You are unclean. The general reaches for his sword, a reflex, but he stops. He is surrounded by 1,000 priests, 1,000 silent witnesses. To draw a sword in the temple is death. He is trapped. You descend one step. I strip you of your titles. I strip you of your name in this house. You spit on the ground in front of him. A supreme insult. This is the moment. You could have sought compromise. You could have negotiated. But the transformed soul does not negotiate with chaos. The general crumbles. Not physically but spiritually. The crowd sees his hesitation. They see the power of the divine institution crushing the power of the individual. He leaves the temple not as a conqueror, but as a thief exposed. He is ruined. Within a month, the pharaoh reassigns him to a desolate outpost. The land is returned. You sit in your inner sanctum, listening to the chanting outside. You have won, but you feel no joy. You have learned that justice sometimes requires cruelty. You have become a monster to keep the monsters at bay. Smoke rises from the altar, twisting into the air like a serpent. It is not the sweet smoke of prayer anymore. It is the smoke of power, dense and choking. You breathe it in, for it is the only air you can breathe now. You are the master of Thebes, the keeper of the gate, and the loneliest man in the world. You are old, very old. Your skin is like papyrus stretched tight over your skull, but your eyes, those eyes are still the sharpest instruments in Egypt. You have ruled the temple for decades, and your power is absolute. You are the architect of a generation of Ma'at. The tax registers are flawless. The granaries are full. The soldiers know their place and the priests know theirs. Your life is a testament to the power of pure, cold discipline. You walk through the temple courtyard. The newer priests wear robes more ornate than yours, their jewelry heavier. They move with an ease you never knew. This is the fruit of your ruthlessness, a safe, prosperous, but perhaps soft empire. You look at them and feel the deepest fear of your final years. The fear that this perfect, cold order will collapse the moment your heart stops beating. Your greatest desire is now immortality through the system. You have achieved a terrifying mastery over the living world. Now you must conquer time itself. The greatest threat to your legacy comes not from an invading army, but from your own blood. Your favorite grandson, whom you mentored since birth, has grown arrogant. He has been using the temple's transport barges to smuggle luxury goods for his own profit, undermining the very supply lines you fought a civil war to protect. He is seeking personal gain over institutional order. You summon him to your inner chamber, a room so cold that the heat of the Theban sun cannot penetrate it. You have been blessed by Ammonius. You tell him, your voice low, thin, yet more dangerous than a roar. Yet you act like a common thief. He tries to justify it, stuttering about small profits and modern necessities. He embodies the very flaw you worked a lifetime to extinguish: personal desire overriding divine law. You are faced with the most painful decision of your life. He is your heir. To execute him is to break your wife's heart and weaken the line. To spare him is to teach the entire priesthood that Ma'at bends for sentiment. This is the final micro-decision point. Will you allow the weakness of affection to crumble the foundations of the order you built, or will you destroy your own blood to save the system? Most men at this age choose legacy through progeny. You choose the law. You issue the decree. You do not kill him. That is too swift. You strip him of his robes, his titles, and his name. You exile him to the remotest desert outpost, a place where he must live as a simple fisherman on a salty lake, forever forgotten by Thebes. The punishment is not death. It is the absolute erasure of his identity. As he is dragged away, screaming your name, your face remains utterly expressionless. You have sacrificed your last vestige of humanity on the altar of order. You are a high priest without a heart, but the empire is safe. That evening you finalize your last great work. You have the official temple history rewritten. Your actions, your ruthless decisions, and your ascent are now described not as political maneuvering, but as prophecy fulfilled. You have ensured that future generations will not know how you ruled, only that your rule was divinely ordained. You stand on the highest pylon. Below you, the vast, ordered city hums in silence. The great caravan roads you secured stretch eastward, carrying the wealth of the Pax Aegyptiaca. You see the immense, cold stability you forged. The setting sun casts long shadows from the pylons, but they are the shadows of stability, not doubt. You look upon the world and you are satisfied with the price you paid. You are nearly 100 years old. Your body is a vessel of dry bone and thin skin, meticulously prepared for the afterlife long before your breath falters. The air in your chamber is thick with spices: myrrh, cinnamon, frankincense, the expensive perfumes used for embalming. You do not fear death. You commanded it, studied it, and prepared for it for 9 decades. Death is merely the final, most crucial ritual. Your final moments are spent in the profound, cool silence of your most sacred chamber. Your most trusted sons and scribes kneel around you. You look past them, past the stone walls, toward the western horizon where the sun has set, the path of Ra to the underworld. As your breath becomes shallow, a final emotional trigger hits you. You are no longer the high priest. You are the 7-year-old boy again. You can smell the Nile silt and the raw, wet scent of the sacred lake. You feel the cold of the bronze razor on your scalp. You see the light gleaming off the gold Ammonius statue, the object of your first, purest awe. The cold, ruthless man you became was simply the instrument needed to protect that initial spark of sacred beauty. The warrior must always die so the temple can live. You close your eyes. Your last conscious thought is the sacred name of the god. You stop breathing. There is no struggle, no gasp. There is only the release of the Ba, soul, and the Ka, life force, from the fragile body. The silence in the room is absolute, broken only by the soft weeping of your family. Your priests immediately begin the ancient rituals. The body is no longer you. It is merely the vessel that must be preserved for eternity. Your journey has begun. You travel through the Duat, the underworld, navigating the dark rivers, reciting the spells from the Book of the Dead that you memorized 70 years ago. The rules, the order, the knowledge you mastered in life, serve you now in the eternal night. You stand before Osiris, Lord of the Dead. Your heart is weighed against the feather of Ma'at. Because you dedicated your life to upholding the cosmic order, even through acts of terrible political coldness, your heart balances perfectly. You achieved the ultimate reward, eternal life, Aru. The vast, orderly procession carries your mummy. The tomb you spent decades preparing is sealed, filled not with gold, for the temple needs its wealth, but with scrolls, spells, and miniature statues of the disciplined priests you created. You leave behind no grand, weeping monument to yourself, because your monument is the system itself. The temple of Ammoniusare stands taller and stronger than ever, fueled by the eternal, unyielding power you instilled in it. Your cold authority ensures that the Nile will continue to flood, the crops will continue to grow, and the sun will continue to rise. You are gone, but Ma'at endures. The silence of the temple is eternal, yet you are now truly present in every stone.